The members of DC Studios' Justice League have been updated and revealed in the context of Superman.
So what's going on here? Why ditch the Justice League brand when it's finally gained some respect after years of Zack Snyder slow motion sequences and CGI mustache gate? Because Gunn's playing the long game. This isn't just about team composition, it's about tone. The Justice Gang isn't a replacement, it's a reset, a reintroduction to what team means in the DC universe. Smaller, smarter, and far more character-driven. Now, if you're thinking this is some kind of knockoff branding, slow your roll, swing, this new gang includes Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, and Green Lantern's Guy Gardner, all showing up not as backup, but as featured players alongside Clark Kent. And get this, these aren't just side characters thrown in for flavor. Each of them represents a tonal shift. They're not symbols of perfection. They're messy, flawed, and dare we say it, actually human under all that power.
I wouldn't mind if Peacemaker joined the team at the end of his series. That would kind of be funny and almost like a perfect pick for the Justice Gang, and ultimately all of them to get replaced by heroes and not vigilantes and Guy Gardner.
And let's not ignore the set design tea. Word is their HQ is giving the major Hall of Justice energy. That's no accident. It's world building with a wink. Just enough nostalgia to get the OG fans riled up, and just enough intrigue to keep newer fans hooked. So in today's Holly Molly breakdown, we're diving into 5 spicy segments. What makes the Justice Gang so different from the classic League? Why their headquarters might be the most important set piece in the movie? How this move reflects DC's narrative priorities, what this means for Superman himself as both a leader and a teammate, and finally, how this tiny shift could snowball into the biggest storytelling flex of the decade. Alright, superhero obsessives, grab your capes and your comic book receipts because James Gunn's new Superman movie is cooking up a crossover crew that's got people throwing side eyes at the classic Justice League. The Justice Gang, DC's freshest, quirkiest squad that might just give the big guns a run for their money. We're here with popcorn and a multiverse flowchart. Let's fly. Number 1, the Justice Gang ain't your grandma's Justice League. This Justice Gang? They're not here to take polite group selfies at the Hall of Justice. They're here to shake things up, spill some Kryptonian tea, and make sure the DCU's first phase starts with more than just a punch. While the Justice League was built on grandeur and god-tier legacy, think Batman brooding on a rooftop, Wonder Woman slicing through tanks in slow-mo, and Aquaman riding a sea dragon like a Red Bull ad, this Justice Gang is vibing on a very different frequency. More coffee shop debates over ethics and less let's blow up another power plant. For starters, the lineup is telling. We've got Guy Gardner, the most chaotic Green Lantern known to man, Mr. Terrific, who's basically Tony Stark if he traded ego for ethics, and Hawkgirl, a character with so much reboot baggage she could be charging airlines. These aren't flawless icons. They're complicated, layered, and intentionally anti-polished. James Gunn isn't just doing a character shuffle for the fun of it, he's introducing a tone. Gone are the statuesque, emotionally stunted titans of old. We get a group that could bicker over morality mid-fight, and actually grow because of it. This isn't just a new league, it's a new lens. And let's be honest, the name Justice Gang alone feels like it came from a brainstorming session that ended with, let's just commit to the chaos. It's punk rock to the Justice League's opera. It's street art compared to marble monuments. That's exactly the energy the DCU needs right now. The magic here isn't just the individuals, though they're spicy enough. It's how they clash and collaborate with Clark. Number 2, HQ goals, the Justice Gang's home. Now let's talk real estate. Because superheroes aren't just saving the world anymore, they're doing it in style. Gunn's new setup, it's got Hall of Justice vibes, but with personality punch and probably a mini fridge stocked with weird alien soda. We're not just talking location, we're talking legacy. The Justice League had the Watchtower floating in space, all sleek and shiny, but emotionally colder than a Kryptonian Alien X. The Justice Gang's HQ, on the other hand, looks and feels grounded. It feels like a base you'd actually hang out in between interdimensional crises, with tech from Mr. Terrific, alien architecture nods to Hawkgirl's Thanagarian roots, and probably at least one sarcastic poster hung up by Guy Gardner. This new HQ is symbolic. It screams, "We're building from scratch, but we know our history." It respects the mythos, but updates it with a tone that's more lived in and less museum exhibit. It's also a clue about the kind of stories Gunn wants to tell. The Justice League's base was a symbol of separation, untouchable heroes above the rest of humanity. This new HQ feels more collaborative, like we're finally seeing a DC team-up story where the characters might actually, talk to each other between fight scenes. And speaking of team dynamics, this space is built for tension. Guy Gardner punching the wall, totally plausible. Hawkgirl sharpening her mace while Superman tries to make a speech, peak cinema. Mr. Terrific building a black hole generator in the corner like it's no big deal. Number 3, Superman, Boy Scout, or Babysitter. Alright, now let's get into the real tea. Superman may be the face of hope, truth, and perfectly gelled hair, but what happens when you put him in charge of a squad that includes a sarcastic lantern, a winged warrior with rage issues, and a tech genius who could outwit Lex Luthor before breakfast? See, Clark Kent has always worked best as the moral compass, the guy you call when you want to remind humanity that kindness isn't weakness. But in the Justice Gang, that job just got about 500% harder. This isn't the Justice League, where everyone kind of knew their role and respected the mission. The gang is like a chaotic group project where Superman is the one kid who actually reads the instructions. What makes this interesting isn't Superman's power. We know he can punch through planets and make grown villains cry. The juice here is in how he leads. Leading a team like this is like trying to teach cats to do synchronized swimming. Take Guy Gardner. He's not exactly known for taking orders or compliments. Then there's Mr. Terrific, who might question Superman's decisions with cold, calculating logic. And Hawkgirl, you think she's gonna stand down just because Clark says please? But here's where it gets spicy. Gunn isn't just setting Clark up to babysit, he's setting him up to grow, to adapt. Because if this is a new DCU, we don't just need Superman to inspire us, we need him to evolve with us. What happens when he's forced to compromise with teammates who don't buy into the truth, justice, and whatever slogan we're using this reboot speech? It's a chance to challenge Superman without turning him grimdark. To see him wrestle with leadership that's messy, unpredictable, and very, very human. Because while he may be an alien, his greatest strength has always been how relatable he is in his values. Number 4, the DCU glow up, chaos, chemistry, and character-driven power plays. Okay, so now that we've got the new HQ, the team lineup, and Superman trying to keep the class from lighting the lab on fire, it's time to ask the real question. What kind of stories does this version of the Justice Gang allow the DCU to tell? Let's be clear, this isn't a cosmetic change. This isn't just a new coat of paint or a costume swap with slightly shinier capes. This is DC Studios throwing out the old blueprint, pouring gasoline on the grimdark cinematic universe memo and saying, we're building a team that actually has narrative chemistry. Because the Justice League, for all its iconography, was kind of a statue museum, we loved them, but the dynamic, often stiff, predictable. You knew who was gonna brood, who was gonna punch, and who was gonna deliver the expositional monologue. The Justice Gang flips that. With this crew, you get unpredictability baked into every scene. Hawkgirl isn't just wings and anger, she's trauma and loyalty and alien diplomacy. Mr. Terrific isn't just the brains, he's the guy who challenges every moral assumption Superman throws out. And Guy Gardner? He's chaos with a ring. One minute he's cracking a joke, the next he's starting a brawl at an intergalactic peace summit. That's a storytelling goldmine. James Gunn knows how to write messy characters who shouldn't work together but somehow do. The Guardians of of the Galaxy weren't beloved because they were clean. They were beloved because they were complicated. Same energy here, just with more cosmic power and way more Kryptonian angst. This shift also signals that DC is done playing Marvel's game. And let's be honest, this kind of tonal reset is the smartest way to build long-term interest. It invites new fans who were overwhelmed by continuity. It brings back old fans who miss stories that feel grounded even when set in space. And it gives Gunn the chance to experiment, breathe, and surprise us. This isn't about being better than the Justice League. It's about being different. And that difference could be the creative fuel DC has been starving for. Number 5, DCU's long game, from soft reset to cultural reset. So here we are, the final stretch. Let's talk big picture. Because this isn't just about one squad of heroes or a new Superman trying to wrangle a team more chaotic than a Comic-Con panel with free merch. No, this is about the strategy. The long game James Gunn is quietly playing to turn the DCU into the most character-driven, chaotic, good, cinematic universe we've seen in years. Let's recap. The Justice Gang isn't just a crew, it's a narrative Trojan horse. They're sneaking in all the things the old DC films struggled to do. Consistent tone, meaningful team dynamics, and character arcs that aren't bulldozed by CGI brawls. And get this, by focusing on a smaller team with sharp contrasts and unpredictable chemistry, Gunn's not just rebooting Superman, he's soft rebooting the entire concept of what a DC team feels like. Less gods among men, more super-powered therapy group with a shared enemy. And fans, we're here for it, because what this shift allows is freedom. Freedom from the Zack Snyder gloom filter that made every sunrise look like it had trauma. And freedom to experiment with genre, tone, and storytelling rhythm. And then there's the real bombshell. This team sets the stage for future crossovers that actually feel earned. Imagine a world where Peacemaker stumbles into this gang, where Supergirl doesn't just show up for a cameo, but challenges the whole group dynamic. Where is Batman? Yeah, he shows up too, but has to work his way into the team instead of instantly commanding it. What Gunn is doing here is laying narrative seeds. The DCU could finally be evolving into something the fans and the characters deserve. A universe built not on branding, but on storytelling. One where team doesn't just mean matching costumes and synchronized landing shots. It means growth, conflict, and dare we say, emotional payoffs that hit harder than a Kryptonian left hook. So yeah, call them the Justice Gang if you want, but don't be surprised when they become the heart, soul, and secret weapon of a DCU rebirth we never saw coming. Alright folks, if you've stuck around this long, congratulations. You've just been officially initiated into the new DCU fan cult, capes optional, snark mandatory. We've dissected the Justice Gang, judged their fashion choices, still pending on Guy Gardner's jacket, and watched James Gunn turn the whole DCU into his very own emotional therapy sandbox. And honestly, we're loving it. Because this isn't your dusty old Justice League. This isn't 6 demigods posing in a slow-motion VFX blender with Hans Zimmer weeping in the background. This is weird, this is messy, this is alive, and that matters. For the first time in what feels like forever, the DCU is telling stories that might actually resonate outside of Reddit echo chambers and CinemaSins takedowns. Gunn is building a world where characters don't just punch, they feel. Where teams don't just assemble, they argue, they evolve, and they probably trauma bond in between alien invasions. And let's not forget what this means for Superman himself. Our boy, he's the emotional anchor for a bunch of ticking time bombs with cool powers. That's a Superman worth watching. That's a Superman who leads because he listens, not because he's the tallest guy in the room with laser eyes. So what's next? Honestly, chaos. Glorious, unpredictable, character-rich chaos. The kind of chaos that gives us new ships to obsess over, new memes to farm, charm, and yes, maybe even a little hope that DC finally figured out how to fly without crashing into its own multiverse. And if the Justice Gang is the start of this era, oh baby, we're in for some beautifully broken, narratively rich comic book catharsis. So keep your capes ironed and your fandoms flexible, because the DCU is about to get messier, bolder, and, dare we say, actually fun. But don't forget to like, sub, and let us know in the comments, which Justice Gang member are you most hyped for? Will this new team actually work or gloriously implode? And should Batman have to audition to join? Spoiler, yes. Until next time, stay nerdy, stay nosy, and stay vigilante adjacent. Peace, chaos, and kryptonite flavored drama.